The rain had always loved her first. It clung to the city windows, to the black streets, to the silence between them, while he stood there watching the woman who once called him home ask him with innocent eyes if they had met before. In his pocket were photographs of a wedding she could not remember. In her chest was a longing she could not explain. Every glance between them felt like a confession strangled before it could breathe. And when the truth finally surfaced, it did not arrive gently. It tore through the room like thunder. Keep watching, because this is not just a love story. It is a beautifully doomed collision between memory, fate, and the unbearable pain of being chosen twice by the same soul.
So, our girl Olivia's brain boots up, but it's all fragmented files. Something is majorly bugged about her reality, even inside her own apartment. The whole vibe is off. Outside, everything's perfect, camera gear all set. Inside her head, a black hole where her memory should be. She sees her reflection, and bam, a huge bruise she has no clue how she got. With zero memory of a fight, her brain just makes something up. She probably just tripped. This paper-thin excuse is the only thing holding back a truth so wild it's about to break her. Suddenly, her phone screeches. It's her mom, her voice dripping with fake concern. But it's really a full-blown interrogation. Olivia's answers get these weird, hollow replies. Mom brings up a prescription from a Dr. Reynolds, a name that means nothing. Olivia finds the bottle for post-viral immune support, an artifact from a life she totally forgot. She just agrees, caving to the voice. Her mom keeps spinning the story about a virus, pushing the pills like they're critical. Olivia tries to remember being sick, but there's just nothing there. Still, she plays along with the script. After the call, a massive sense of dread hangs in the air. Watching the city, she feels like a ghost, completely disconnected from everyone. Her only anchor to reality is an upcoming gallery show. A call from Megan at the gallery is all about playing it cool, smoothing over Olivia's weird absence. Later, looking at her own photos, she sees they're good, but feels zero connection to making them. At the gallery opening, she's on autopilot, a social robot running a script while that memory void hums in the background. Then all the noise fades and her world shrinks to a single point. Someone's watching her. And this isn't some casual glance, it's a targeted stare. Her eyes lock with his instantly, a man, Giovanni, in a perfectly tailored suit. He sees her notice and his focus intensifies. The second their eyes meet, the gallery vanishes. The crowd, the noise, all gone. It's just Giovanni. His face is a mix of sadness and hope that triggers something ancient inside her. Her heart starts hammering against her ribs. He walks toward her, his purpose undeniable. "Your work is remarkable," he says, his voice smooth as silk. Olivia fakes a smile, trying to keep her cool. "Haven't we met before?" he asks. "No," she shoots back, way too fast, betraying a flicker of recognition she can't place. A shadow of tension crosses his face before he expertly changes the subject. Up close, she spots a faint scar on his throat and can't look away. "I'm Giovanni," he says, holding out a hand. The moment they touch, an electric shock zaps through her, stealing her breath. He doesn't let go, his thumb checking the crazy pulse in her wrist while his eyes search hers desperately. "Just static," she lies. "Not weird," he says softly. "Unexpected." His word choice gives it weight. Giovanni. The name echoes in her empty mind, a familiar sound with no source. Logic says they're strangers, but his stare is like a spotlight, cutting her off from the rest of the world. He steps closer, his cologne invading her personal space. "We should discuss your collection somewhere more private," he suggests, the excuse paper thin. Every rational thought in her head is screaming no, but her gut feeling is stronger than logic. She finds herself agreeing, pulled by a force she doesn't understand. For a split second, a wave of pure relief hits Giovanni's face before he hides it. He leads her to a quiet cafe, his hand hovering near her back like he's both protecting and claiming her. Once they're seated, he goes back to the script, praising her art to keep up appearances. His questions show he knows everything about her work, a clear move to build a connection. But all the polite chat can't hide the crazy tension underneath. Every accidental touch sparks that electric jolt. When she asks what he does, he gives a super vague answer about international business. The total non-answer just confirms it's a complete lie, a carefully built cover story. Who are you? The question just bursts out of her, raw and unfiltered. He dodges with some poetic nonsense about destiny. Before she can push, her mom's name lights up her phone, a perfectly timed interruption. Family, he notes, like he already knew. Her mom's tense voice is back on the meds, her paranoid questions confirming the call is just surveillance, a scheduled dose of control. Her mom runs down a checklist. Feeling dizzy, disoriented? When Olivia calls her out, she hides behind the worried mother act, a trick to make Olivia think she's going crazy. When she gets back, he's ready to leave, expertly ending the meeting. He gives her his card, putting the ball in her court. Sometimes you must trust what you feel, he says, a direct challenge. And then he's gone. He leaves with the cool confidence of a man in charge. She looks at the card. Giovanni Moretti. The name is a key to a lock she can't find, but it turns something inside her, unlocking a sudden sharp pain of loss. For 3 days, his name is on a loop in her head. Finally needing answers more than anything, she dials his number. He picks up on the first ring, and the way he says her name, Olivia, sends a shiver down her spine. She was expecting to talk about art. Instead, there's just heavy silence on the line. Dinner, he says, more of an order than an invitation. We can finalize the details. Every alarm bell is screaming, but she hears herself say yes. The yes comes out before she can even think. The restaurant is some low-key rich place she's never seen. The host's snobby look vanishes when Giovanni says his name. Moretti. The guy's whole vibe changes. Mr. Moretti, right this way. He gets a private booth with a perfect view of the entire room. Wine just appears, poured like it's for a king. You come here often? She asks. For many years, he replies, sitting down like he owns the place. The owner is an old friend. The conversation starts out smooth, but it's a trap. He doesn't just like her art, he gets it, showing a creepy, deep knowledge of her mind. You have a thing for cityscapes, he notes, leaning in. But your portfolio is full of storms. Why? The answer comes from her gut, a confession about her thing for rain's cleansing power. As she talks, his face softens, hit with a wave of pure, heavy relief. It's like she gave him the final piece of his own puzzle. What was that? She challenges. That look. Like I said exactly what you needed to hear. His jaw tightens. Perhaps you did. More dodging. I apologize, he says, his hand hovering over hers. Some things are hard to explain. Appetizers arrive before she can reply, her exact favorites minus the olives. Lucky guess, she asks, her tone sharp. Observation, he corrects, his hand finally landing on hers. The electric current is back. This time, the shock is even stronger. You're incredibly easy to read, he murmurs. She always thought she was a closed book, but he sees right through her like he's known her forever. They talk for hours, circling the truth. Sometimes he'd slip into Italian, a language she felt deep down but couldn't understand. His English was careful and safe, a total contrast to the fire in his eyes. And your family, he asks. They live in the suburbs. An older sister, Lauren, you're close, he states, not asks. Yes, but my mother. She's gotten so paranoid, asking weird questions about my health. Maybe she has a reason. The silence after is thick. It's just a mom thing, she says, but his tone hints at a way bigger story. He insists on walking her home close to midnight. The quiet streets make their footsteps echo. He keeps a perfect distance, close enough to protect, but far enough to be proper. Will I see you again? He asks at her door, dropping the business act. No. Her sharp reply doesn't even faze him. What do you want? To know you, he answers, his fingers tracing her jawline with a slow, almost holy touch. He goes, If you'll allow me. She doesn't even question his creepy familiarity or the way everyone defers to him. Just a small nod. He backs off, but the ghost of his touch feels like a brand seared onto her skin. The next day, he pulls a move straight from the player's handbook. 24 white roses arrive, no signature, but the sender is obvious. She calls to say thanks, and he answers on the first ring, totally expecting her. His invitation is bold, but it's the calculated please at the end, a fake show of weakness that completely demolishes her defenses. After that, Giovanni launches a full-scale invasion of her life, making time feel like it's on fast forward. He slides into her world under the guise of being a perfect gentleman. Suddenly, random daily life is gone, replaced by his orchestrated coincidences, popping up outside her office after a meeting on her way home. On a quick call, she brings him up to her mom, just a simple, "There's this guy." Her mother's voice immediately shoots up, hungry for details. After Olivia describes Giovanni's unsettling intensity, her mom demands his name. The name Giovanni Moretti is met with a heavy pause, then a freakishly thrilled, "Oh, sweetie, that's fantastic." Her mom's fake excitement is so obvious it's painful, like watching a terrible actor. When Olivia pushes back with logic, her mom just spews empty reassurances before demanding an introduction. Olivia's hesitant answer gets more fake cheering before her mom pivots hard, a total misdirection to ask about vitamins from some mystery doctor. Olivia can't even remember where the prescription came from, but confirms she's taking Dr. Reynolds' pills. Her mom waves off her confusion with a weak story about a made-up sickness, a classic manipulator move. The conspiracy gets wider when her friend Megan is suddenly deployed to her apartment without any warning. Megan shows up with peace offerings, but her smile is tight with anxiety. She mentions talking to Olivia's mom about the new guy, confirming this is a coordinated family op. Her mom's psycho-level enthusiasm was a dead giveaway that they're all in on some secret agenda. When Olivia says she's getting creeped out, Megan doesn't offer comfort. She starts a clinical interrogation about her symptoms. These health questions are the same lines she's heard before, like a script being passed around. The conversation circles back to the vitamins, and then it hits Olivia. She has zero memory of ever meeting Dr. Reynolds. Megan's tiny, involuntary flinch is a dead giveaway. She tries a classic gaslighting tactic, claiming memory loss is normal after a bad illness. But for Olivia, there's no memory of being sick, just a black hole now filled by a guy who knows her past and a family that's actively lying to her face. Megan tries to calm her down, but her shifty eyes give her away as she calls Olivia's totally valid fears spiraling. The isolation campaign continues later when her sister Lauren cancels their dinner plans, her voice choked with unspoken guilt, hiding the truth behind some vague excuse. Lauren just repeats the family's pro-Giovanni talking points, a script she clearly got from someone else. Her casual dismissal of Olivia's worries is bone-chilling. 2 nights later, Giovanni orchestrates another dinner, Different restaurant, same vibe of fear and submission from everyone around him. She scans the room and sees the vibe is a mix of awe and pure terror, clear signs of a guy with massive hidden power. She asks him straight up, and he gives her a weak lie about an import business. When she calls him on it, his face goes blank as he drops a non-answer. He's intimidating just because he is. She knows that's a total cop-out, but he won't say more, using physical touch to change the subject. His question, "Can that be enough?" is a cheap shot, playing on emotion instead of logic. In that moment, his fake desperation act overrides her survival instincts, a screw-up she immediately regrets. She has to admit she's completely frozen, drawn to him by some magnetic pull that defies all logic, fear, and the mountain of evidence that this is all a massive scam. In just 14 days, Giovanni has woven himself into her life so perfectly it feels like this was always meant to be. He's a constant presence, basically soft surveillance disguised as romance. His freaky ability to know what she needs, like having an umbrella ready the second it starts to rain, is more terrifying than charming. Her comment about how fast they're moving is the understatement of the century. She's being trapped at warp speed. With the city lights reflecting in the water, he dodges her comment with some deep-sounding nonsense, spinning his predatory speed as a matter of perception. His fingers slide between hers like he's owned them forever. When she calls him out for evading, he pivots, again giving her the illusion of power by asking if he should slow down. The offer is a total sham, and her saying no is exactly what he wanted. She's dying for an explanation for this insane connection between them, but she doesn't ask. The relief on his face is a huge tell, and so is his confession that he couldn't have stopped anyway. The kiss that follows is a sensory bomb designed to erase all questions. The kiss itself is controlled chaos, a perfectly measured hunger meant to trap her, not consume her. When he pulls back, her whole world is off balance. From then on, Vittorio, no longer Giovanni, starts creating fake realities for her, beginning with the botanical garden where his VIP access is another silent flex of his power. They walk through steamy greenhouses full of orchids and weird plants. He names every single one with an insane, effortless knowledge. When Olivia asks him how he knows all this, he locks his eyes on her and says, "I notice beautiful things," turning a compliment into a declaration of ownership. His next power play is a rooftop restaurant she's only ever seen from afar, a place that's impossible to get into. The host greets Vittorio by name and leads them to the best table. As Chicago sparkles below them, Olivia automatically reaches to frame a picture of the view. "It is more impressive in a storm," Vittorio says, his eyes locked on her, not the city. Lightning makes the whole city look alive, dangerous, beautiful. Those specific words hit her like a system shock, a déjà vu so intense she has to grab the table. It's the absolute feeling of a memory she doesn't actually have. A phantom memory flashes in her mind, sitting in this exact chair, watching a storm rage over the city. Her panic is obvious, and Vittorio's concern is instant. Her question, "Was I here with you before?" makes his jaw clench. He dodges, poking gently with the word "familiar," validating her feeling while hiding the cause. After staring at her for a long moment, he spouts some crap about mystical connections between people and places, but the way he says it proves he knows exactly what's happening. The mental weirdness gets a dose of physical proof back at her apartment, where she finds expensive camera gear she never bought, and the evidence keeps piling up. Books on Italian architecture on a shelf that was empty, and a new designer jacket in her closet. Tags on, perfect fit. A call to Megan results in a predictable, frantic denial. Olivia tells her about the camera equipment she has no memory of ever buying. The long silence after she mentions the gear's price says it all. Megan launches into another gaslighting script, suggesting amnesia is just a side effect of her illness. When faced with the hard fact of a $3,000 lens, she falls back on the plan, deflecting by asking about the vitamins. Her yes is met with some fake encouragement, pushing the ridiculous idea that vitamins can just magically bring back memories. This story completely ignores the physical proof. 3 days later, the family's joint operation continues with a call from her mother, perfectly timed to screw up her day. The invitation for Vittorio to come to family dinner is delivered with a sickeningly fake excitement. Olivia points out how weirdly they're all acting, which her mom instantly denies with a painfully forced cheerfulness. The call then turns into her mom straight up rewriting history, insisting Olivia talks about him all the time. After a tense silence, her mother tries to sell their bizarre behavior as just normal parental concern, but every part of their act is off, like a song played in the wrong key. Olivia agrees to the dinner, not because she wants to, but because she needs to see all the players on the same stage at once. So Vittorio's ride is blasting through the burbs on Saturday night. My dude's wearing a shirt that costs more than her rent, dripping with that effortless rich guy vibe. She asks if he's nervous, and he just scoffs like, why would he feel what normal people feel meeting the parents? I'm not most people, he says, grabbing her like he owns her. His vibe that her parents will be gracious is super creepy. It sounds like a business deal, not a welcome. And yep, her mom opens the door, practically vibrating with anxiety, ready to put on a show. The welcome is so stiff you can tell it was rehearsed. Dad comes out, and the handshake between them is all smooth business with a side menace. Vittorio's thank you is met with a glare that isn't fatherly, but more like a mob boss sizing up a target. Dad's first line about his business is a total signal. This ain't a social call, it's an evaluation. While the dudes talk money, the real drama is in the kitchen where her mom's shaking hands give away her whole game. Her obsession with everything being perfect is the first clue something is deeply wrong, a total act of normalcy that her daughter starts seeing right through. The mom is hiding behind the I'm just a mom meeting the boyfriend role, a total defense mechanism. Meanwhile, Vittorio launches a full-on charm offensive, dropping a fake sob story about Italy to instantly get her parents on his side. Giovanni's fake backstory is a pure, strategic move to speedrun their sympathy. This whole instant family thing feels totally off, like a glitch in the Matrix. Then, a private meeting with the dad switches the vibe from social to pure business, confirming a deal has just been struck. Mom's sudden approval of Giovanni gets hit with questions she totally can't answer. Her excuses are hollow, and her body language is robotic. When pushed, she pulls the classic "it's just a feeling" card, a go-to move when you're cornered and lying. Backed into a corner, the mom starts spinning some 5D chess excuse about trusting the plan. Just as she's about to expose her own scheme, the men return, killing the conversation. Talk about convenient timing. Giovanni leaves with a performance worthy of an Oscar, a complete flip from the tense vibe. Later, his insane focus on her parents' approval is a huge red flag. Screaming he's been plotting this for years, his answer is some philosophical BS, talking about a connection that exists outside of time. This dude loves speaking in riddles, a tactic to make his secrecy sound deep and romantic instead of what it is. Super shady. He spins his intense staring as some kind of next-level devotion, saying he knows her so well it's like a memory. Mixing up stalking with intimacy is a massive red flag. especially since her brain knows they've only known each other for 2 weeks. He flips her disbelief around, turning it from a logic problem into a test of faith. My guy is asking for trust, not understanding, while pulling a tender move to sell it. Her brain wants facts, but she caves to his emotional performance. She whispers, yes, letting him use physical contact to shut down her brain for a bit. But her gut is still screaming that a massive truth is being hidden. The scene then cuts from her place to Vittorio's inner circle, a world she's only seen from afar. They walk into a private, dark room designed to scream intimidation. The dress she's wearing, not hers. It's a costume he gave her, and it fits perfectly. His reason is simple. He wants his crew to get a good look at her. His hand on her knee is a straight-up power move, a public claim staked through her dress. He makes it clear these guys need to understand she's important. Inside, she's hit with the cold, judging stares of 15 older men, like a silent jury. The hug between the two men screams a long and powerful history. She gets introduced to Franco Bellini, whose firm handshake is just a warm-up for him, visually dissecting her. His polite words are totally empty, completely canceled out by his intense stare. Vittorio isn't looking pleased. He's looking calculating, with a flash of worry. His hand never leaves her, a constant reminder of who's in control. The conversation is all business speak, a coded language meant to keep her on the outside. A simple question about her job is just the opener for a formal toast. The phrase, "Our Giovanni," is a public declaration that he belongs to the group, which by extension now seems to include her too. Franco's stare is nonstop pressure, a relentless size-up. A silent, loaded look passes between him and Vittorio, making her feel even more lost, right before another guy turns his creepy attention straight to her. And bam! Some guy slips up asking how she's settling back in. This one phrase completely nukes her reality. It hints at a history she has no memory of, a mental bomb she diffuses with a polite smile to hide her world from spinning. Vittorio's hand clamps down, a silent confession that he heard the screw-up too. A flicker of raw panic flashes across his face before he gets his mask back on. Later at her place, he hesitates at the door, looking less like a lover and more like a guy checking for traps. Inside, he walks around her apartment like he's been there a million times, rediscovering old territory. His hug is pure desperation, practically begging her to confirm a reality that, for her, has totally shattered. She tells him what he wants to hear, and the disconnect is insane. Her brain is screaming that this is all new, but her body is acting on pure instinct, a muscle memory that exists completely outside her own mind, hinting at a past she can't access. He starts talking in a language she doesn't know, but the sound of it sparks a weird feeling of familiarity. Sleep is a no-go. She's driven by a massive, gut-wrenching suspicion and gets out of bed to find some real answers. A crazy impulse sends her straight to his jacket, violating his privacy. Inside, she finds about a dozen photos of them in super serious relationship poses, wedding rings and all. The pictures are a direct attack on her own memory, triggering a full-blown mental breakdown. The places in the photos are completely unknown to her, but the killer is a professional wedding portrait that hits her like a physical blow. The picture is the perfect, impossible proof of a terrifying black hole in her own life story. She also finds a receipt for a 16 by 20-inch custom frame marked as a rush job. This tiny detail proves he recently and deliberately built this fake history, cementing the chilling fact that this is all a systematic, twisted manipulation. A strangled gasp escapes her as he just appears in the doorway. His eyes lock onto the photos and his face goes pale in a dead silent confession. Her voice cracking with shock, she holds up the picture of their wedding that she can't remember. The gaping hole in her memory comes out in her voice, a checklist of pure panic. He approaches her slowly, trying to de-escalate, but his whole defense, a weak mix of lies and half-truths, crumbles under her glare. She throws the photos down, violently rejecting the life they show. Her pain spirals into a full-on identity crisis. Who even is she? He tries to touch her, but she flinches away like he's on fire. As her entire world dissolves, he gives her a look of pained understanding, claiming he had a good reason for his betrayal. That one word, we, lands like a bomb, expanding the conspiracy to include everyone she trusts. She recoils from his touch again. When she demands an explanation, he stumbles, finally hiding behind the authority of doctors and their insane logic of protection. His mask finally shatters, revealing his true goal: to help you remember. The confession hits her so hard, she literally collapses. From the floor, she says the diagnosis herself: amnesia. He confirms it, saying it was from an accident. He drops the timeline bomb. An accident 6 weeks ago wiped out 2 years of her life. All the weird stuff, the pills, her mom's fake kindness, her friend's constant hovering, all snaps into place, forming one horrifying conspiracy. The betrayal is total. "You chose to seduce me again, not tell me," she spits, her voice dripping poison. He blames it on doctor's orders, saying it was safer to rebuild their bond, naturally. A broken, crazy laugh bursts out of her. His cure sounds exactly like insanity. He acts like a beggar, pleading that every lie was just a desperate attempt to keep her. Her only answer is a single, ice-cold command: get out. At the door, his last words are an "I love you," a final, pathetic attempt to find some truth in the mountain of lies he built. So our girl wakes up in a fog, basically a ghost wandering her own apartment. The place is a museum to a life she can't remember, with a man there calling her husband. Then, her phone shrieks, blasting through the silence. It's her friend Megan, about to drop a bomb. The call plays out like a scene from a twisted script, with Megan's timing being way too perfect. Olivia accuses her, and Megan just admits it. The whole conspiracy was cooked up at the hospital. They're all hiding behind doctor's orders, but Olivia isn't buying that weak excuse. Megan tries to sell this insane logic that a giant lie could somehow build a real connection. Olivia is so not having it and just hangs up, plunging into total isolation. Her entire reality just shattered into a million pieces, and the phantom of this man is everywhere. After a 3-day spiral, she switches into full-on detective mode, investigating her own life like a crime scene. The first breadcrumb is in her bank records, shady deposits and weird transfers leading to the smoking gun. Joint accounts with Giovanni Moretti. Then she digs up a passport, and its pages tell the story of a European vacation she never took. Stamps from Milan, Rome, and Florence from last year are just more proof of a timeline that feels like it belongs to somebody else, making the hole in her head feel even bigger. A search on her laptop uncovers the digital ghosts of a deleted existence: doctor's appointments, wedding dress fittings, and marriage spreadsheets. This digital trail confirms her worst fear: an entire 2-year chunk of her identity has been professionally erased. 20 minutes later, she's kicking down the door of Lauren, another conspirator in this grand deception. Her surprise attack and aggressive demand for the truth marks a total power flip. She's done with the BS and wants the full story now. The test subject is officially running the lab. Lauren starts by saying the truth is complicated, then rewinds to 6 weeks ago. She paints a picture not of a car losing control, but of it being deliberately forced off a remote highway. In that second, the word accident gets vaporized and replaced with attempted murder. Lauren's tough exterior starts to crack as she admits the attack was a planned hit by enemies of Giovanni's crew. The car, she says, rolled 3 times and wasn't found for nearly an hour. The chilling reality of that deliberate violence starts to creep in. When Olivia asks how bad it was, Lauren rattles off a grim list. Major head trauma, broken bones, and massive internal bleeding. They airlifted her out and put her in a coma to stop her brain from swelling. "We thought you were gone," she says, her face crumbling. She adds that Giovanni didn't sleep for 2 weeks, just held her hand. "But I woke up. Yeah, after 14 days. When you came to, the last 2 years were just gone. Your personal history got a hard reset." She had zero memory of Giovanni, their wedding, or their life. The diagnosis was textbook retrograde amnesia. So, the big group decision was to lie. "It wasn't a lie," Lauren snaps back, shifting nervously. The neurologist warned that shoving the memories back in your face could cause a catastrophic mental breakdown. They suggested a softer approach. Let the love story restart on its own, hoping the memories would follow without more trauma. "We all agreed to let you find him again without the baggage." "That's insane. It was a survival strategy." "Olivia, you were knocking on death's door," Lauren pleads. "Your husband was falling apart. We were trying to shield you." That word, husband, hits her like a physical shock. "He's a stranger to me." "But he wasn't. The woman you used to be, she was completely in love with him." "And that woman isn't me, is she?" Lauren steps closer. "But you fell for him all over again." "Within weeks, that same spark between you two lit up again. That has to mean something." Before Olivia can argue, the doorbell chimes. A quick look at her phone and all the color drains from Lauren's face. "Your parents are here. You called them." "They deserve to know you figured it out." They walk in, faces frozen in careful concern. Her mom tries to hug her, but Olivia's body recoils on instinct. "Honey, we're so sorry. We thought about telling you every single day." "So why didn't you?" Her dad slumps onto the sofa, looking like he's aged a decade. "Because dropping a 2-year blank, a lost marriage, and a violent attack on you seemed a whole lot crueler. How was I supposed to process that, so you just let me think I was losing my mind?" "Never," her mother insists, grabbing her hands. "We were protecting you, hoping you'd heal on your own. It was the only way we could think of." Olivia pulls away. "I want the medical records, the entire file, right now." Her father pulls out his phone, and seconds later, her inbox is flooded. Hospital admission forms, brain scans, neuro reports, all detailing Olivia Parker's severe traumatic brain injury from 6 weeks back. The evidence is solid, but her brain still can't connect the dots. "I need to speak with Giovanni," she finally says. "Sweetheart, maybe it's too—" "No, I have to see him now." Her mom gives in with a sigh. "I'll call him. He's there in less than 15 minutes, like he was waiting just around the corner." The second he walks in, the raw agony on his face makes her chest tighten. "Olivia," he breathes, his voice thick with emotion. "Can we talk alone?" Lauren's bedroom is the only option. They stand on opposite sides of the bed, a massive gap of silence between them. "Explain," she commands. "Start from the beginning. And don't you dare leave anything out." Giovanni leans against the wall like he needs it to stand. "And we met 2 years ago at your gallery show." He was supposed to be there for work, but her photography completely mesmerized him. "From the moment we started talking, my entire world shifted." "What do you do for a living?" she asks. The whole truth. "I run an organization. The official story is import-export." Underneath that, we operate in the shadows. Some of it's illegal, some of it's a moral gray area. His eyes never leave hers. I am not a good man, Olivia, but for you, I tried to be. So, my husband is a criminal? You married a man, he replies, who respected you enough to give you a choice. After 3 months, I laid it all out for you. I was sure you'd leave. His voice gets softer. But you stayed. Why? You saw past my world to the man I wanted to be. You believed I could change, and your love was a freaking force of nature. He pushes off the wall. We were married 6 months ago. It was a small ceremony, just family and our closest friends. You carried white roses, said they reminded you of the first snowfall. Those words hit something deep inside her. White roses, snow, a flicker of a memory gone before she can grab it. The attack, she says, her voice flat. That was on me. I should have had you protected. I never should have let you take that job. He talks about how passionate she was about the project, a force he couldn't say no to, his voice thick with regret. Their enemies saw an opening. They watched her, waited for the right moment. Then they ran her off the highway. When she asks who, his answer is simple. Our competition, they've been handled. The statement is cold and final. And you decided a lie was better than this truth. He points to the neurologist's final call. A Dr. Reynolds had warned that forcing the memories could shatter her mind for good, that letting her find her way back was the only kind thing to do. Giovanni crosses his arms like a shield. So, we staged our first meeting, our first few dates all over again. We gave you a chance to build something new without the weight of the past. And you did it anyway. It's clearly killing him to say it. To a man who's a total stranger. I am not a stranger. He steps closer. Every second was real. The only thing missing was the memory, but the feeling between us, that was real. How can I believe that? Because you can feel it. He reaches for her hand. She doesn't pull back. Your body remembers what your mind can't. Your gut reactions to me, your laugh, the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching, that's not an act. That's the evidence. She wants to fight him, to hold on to her anger, but with his hand over hers, feeling that warmth spread, the connection is undeniable. Some gut instinct screamed that she knew him, but her conscious mind was a total blank. I need time, she whispered. Take all you need, he said, and you could feel him fighting to let go of her hand. I'm staying, no matter how long it takes, even if you never remember, even if you choose a different life, I'm staying. But what if I'm not the woman you married? You are. Memories don't make the person. You're still Olivia, the one who loves thunderstorms, who starts rambling in 5 languages when you're stressed, who eats ice cream straight from the carton after midnight. A sad smile creeped across his face. You're still the woman I'd die for. She walked out of Lauren's place by herself, turning down every offer for a ride. She needed the walk, the quiet, to deal with the crushing weight of a past that felt like someone else's life. As she got close to her house, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. The voice on the other end introduced himself. Later in bed, she stayed glued to the far edge, a huge gulf in just a few inches of mattress. Right before dawn, he draped a blanket over her and left a glass of water on the nightstand. Their moves were pure instinct, a body language for when brain goes offline. They were building something new from scratch, totally off the map. Dr. Reynolds, the voice on the phone said. Your family asked me to call. I'd like to schedule an appointment to go over your progress. Progress! The word made her feel like a broken specimen. Maybe she was. Tomorrow, she agreed. I'll be there tomorrow. Alone, she stared down photos of a life she couldn't claim. This smiling, radiant clone in the arms of a stranger didn't just feel weird. It felt like a psychic bomb going off, confirming her brain was completely fractured. Not a single memory came back. Just this deep, gnawing certainty that she'd lost something huge. Dr. Reynolds's office, perched on the top floor of some forgotten medical building, felt creepily familiar. It was all glass, with a crazy view of the city designed to be sterile and calm. A receptionist called her name before she even checked in. Miss Parker, Dr. Reynolds is waiting for you. Go right in. The neurologist looked younger than she expected, maybe 45, with kind eyes. He stood up. Olivia, I'm so glad you made it. She cut right to the chase. You're the doctor who gave me the prescription? Her tone was a straight-up accusation. Yes, we told your family it was for post-viral immune support, he admitted, pointing to a chair. In reality, it was for neurological agents to help you recover from a traumatic brain injury. She sat, her legs feeling like jelly. Everyone kept dropping that clinical phrase, traumatic brain injury. Like if they said it enough, it would make the horror go away. Is there another term you'd like to use? He asked. I'd prefer the raw truth, the whole file, no more edited versions or polite little stories. He pulled up her records, spinning his monitor so she could see the brain scans lighting up the screen. Her brain before and after. The images showed a total disaster zone she could feel but couldn't understand. 6 weeks ago, your car went off the highway, causing severe head trauma. The impact created a subdural hematoma, cerebral swelling, and major damage to your frontal and temporal lobes. His finger traced the wreckage on the screen. We had to put you in a medically induced coma to control the pressure in your skull. You were out for 14 days. When she woke up, the damage was clear. Retrograde amnesia, a clean 2-year wipe. Older memories were fine. The recent ones were just gone. She stared at the images of her own brain, a broken and alien thing. That 2-year window is clinically bizarre. This kind of memory loss doesn't follow the textbook. The trauma hit the exact spots vital for making and recalling memories. This specific chunk of time was likely the last solid block of memory you formed. When it came to her chances, Dr. Reynolds chose his next words very carefully. Getting some memories back is more likely than a full restore. You might get flashes, feelings before facts, but a complete recovery isn't a guarantee. Dropping all this on you at once would have caused a psychological catastrophe. Confronting someone with a massive hole in their identity, especially a marriage, can trigger a severe downward spiral. Our plan was a slow reintroduction. Studies show that learning through experience is safer than a cognitive flood. You saw it as a lie. We saw it as therapy. Our only goal was to protect your mind while it healed. This strategy, which works in cases like yours, lets emotions rebuild naturally, which can sometimes even jumpstart memories. And if that fails, the process still builds a new emotional bridge with your husband, giving the relationship a chance to start over. The session was cut short by an arrival. Her parents and Giovanni walked in, their timing perfectly rehearsed. Her mother's face was streaked with fresh tears. Her mom spoke up, admitting her daughter was right to demand the whole story. Her terms were non-negotiable: every hospital record, the accident report, and a list of every decision made for her while she was unconscious. Her dad handed her a thick folder, confirming it was all there. Every diagnosis, every consult, every debate. She took the folder, her hand shaking just a bit. Giovanni hung back in the doorway, keeping his distance, but you could see the turmoil raging inside him. She looked him dead in the eye, demanding the full story of what happened. He walked closer and started talking about her drive home from a job 2 hours outside Chicago. He mentioned a meeting with a guy named Franco about a turf war that was heating up. The competition was Russian, and they were trying to muscle in on his shipping channels. He told them no, so they decided to send a message by going after his wife. A muscle in his jaw went rigid. The enemy had watched her for weeks, learning her schedule, finding her weak spots. The attack was a tactical hit. One car blocked her off, trapping her for a high-speed T-bone collision. Her car ripped through the guardrail, flew into a ravine, and rolled 3 times. His eye twitched, a phantom echo at the impact. It took paramedics 47 minutes to reach you. You were bleeding internally. Her mother let out a gasp. Her father grabbed her arm to steady her. She was airlifted to Northwestern Memorial for emergency surgery on the brain bleed, then moved to the ICU. Giovanni's hands were clenched into white-knuckled fists. He explained he got there mid-surgery and never left her side for the 2 weeks she was in a coma. As for the guys who did it, he said they were no longer an issue. A 5-word phrase that left nothing to the imagination. Dr. Reynolds then added that when she woke up, disoriented, the first person she asked for was her sister. When her family finally saw her, the 2-year gap was painfully clear as she talked about old news like it was happening now. She had 0 memory of Giovanni and became frantic once they mentioned the missing time. Brain scans later confirmed it. A targeted retrograde amnesia that had specifically erased every single memory of her life with him. When it came to him, her mind was a total void. They had to tell her the exact words she'd used to push him away. Giovanni's voice trembled as he repeated how she'd called him a stranger. When he said he was her husband, she freaked out, her fear turning into accusations. You could still see the scar from that moment on his face. He said that's when they knew they needed professional help. The experts all agreed that forcing her to remember could completely shatter her mind. She called their solution an elaborate deception. Her mother spun it as recreating her life, explaining how they rebuilt her world from the ground up, from her apartment to her job. She felt like they had set up a second courtship. "We just opened a door," Giovanni countered softly. "You were the one who felt a connection." Dr. Reynolds then slid the medical files toward her, telling her to get a second opinion to prove they weren't crazy. He defended their actions with total certainty. She demanded to see the house she supposedly lived in with Giovanni. He gently corrected her bitter tone, confirming it was, without a doubt, their home. The 30-minute drive out of the city was dead silent as they entered a world of private gated estates. Automatic gates swung open to reveal the house, a modern fortress of stone and glass on perfectly kept grounds. The inside was a paradox, a place she'd never seen, yet every single thing looked like something she would have picked out. And everywhere there were pictures of them, a timeline of a life together. The photos showed a history she couldn't get back. He led her to an office that was clearly her own design, proof of a career she didn't remember. But the master bedroom was the breaking point, a space so full of evidence of their shared life and intimacy. Every inch of the house screamed that they had built a life here together. Then he handed her a leather journal, explaining it was her own diary about their relationship. A random entry dated 8 months ago in her handwriting described a weekend getaway to Napa, full of private moments. The words described the exact moment she knew she loved him, a feeling that came from being completely seen and accepted for who she was. Tears blurred the ink on the page as she was slammed with the emotional proof of her past self, a certainty that now felt like it belonged to a total stranger. "Yo, I have no idea who this dude is," she muttered. Giovanni's voice cracked as he dropped an apology, blaming his dangerous world for failing to protect her. She stared him down, the guy she was catching feelings for, who just turned out to be her husband and the mastermind behind this entire fake life. She told him flat out she could never be the woman in that diary. He immediately told her to forget that expectation. When she freaked that her memories were gone for good, he suggested they just build a new life from scratch. Then he swore to wait for her forever, playing the perfect husband. When she shot back that it wasn't fair, he claimed his loyalty to her was the only decent thing he'd ever done. She slammed the journal shut, seeing the house not as a home, but a museum to a girl she didn't know. She demanded space to figure this mess out. He agreed, basically handing her the keys to the mansion. She asked where he'd crash. He just vaguely waved a hand toward other properties. He said he had to leave so she could make a choice without any pressure. Alone, she paced the perfectly staged rooms, touching things, hoping for a spark of recognition, but felt absolutely nothing. Then, in the bathroom, plot twist, she finds the pills prescribed to keep her compliant, passed off as recovery meds. She dumped them down the toilet, a final middle finger to the whole setup. A call came from her sister, Megan, and she confessed how lost she was. Her sister admitted the plan was messed up and apologized. She got that they were trying to protect her, but the betrayal was a gut punch. When asked about Giovanni, she admitted her feelings were legit. Her body was just drawn to him, a gut instinct her brain couldn't compute. This whole conflict was her entire crisis? Her sister's advice was to just trust that instinct. The game plan shifted from what she'd lost to what was right in front of her. Lying in their bed, she buried her face in his pillow, inhaling his scent, trying desperately to dig up a single memory of their love or their wedding. Her efforts only brought the phantom pain of a past she couldn't access. But underneath it all, a deeper truth bubbled up. A gut feeling of their connection, not an actual memory. This became the only thing she could hold on to during a week of therapy and isolation. Her journal was a total cold case, its pages giving zero hints about her old self. On the 5th day, her sister showed up, an absolute wreck from the guilt of her part in the grand deception. She confessed to crying all night, a prisoner in the trap they had all built. The whole story finally came out over dinner, starting with Giovanni's desperate, panicked phone call from the hospital. A slow, careful re-entry into her own life was the only plan her family and Dr. Reynolds could come up with. Her sister even admitted to practicing the lies, selling it as a necessary shield to stop her from having a complete breakdown. The main objective was to prevent her mind from completely short-circuiting. And while she understood the logic, understanding didn't mean forgiveness. The anger faded into just being over it. With Giovanni, she mentioned a physical bond that ignored her empty memory. Then Lauren arrived and flipped the script. Lauren came armed with a curated photo album, a highlight reel of her life and love for Giovanni. The pictures showed their relationship was totally intentional. Lauren swore she had watched her consciously choose Giovanni, knowing full well what he was into. Her old self had been a ride or die. Her loyalty was insane. Lauren pointed out that this same pattern was happening all over again. To her fear of permanent memory loss, Lauren dropped a bombshell. This was a rare chance to choose him again. That one idea brought a wild amount of peace to her scrambled mind. Giovanni kept his distance like she asked, his only contact being short texts promising he'd wait. On the 8th day, she called him up, demanding the full story. He showed up in less than 20 minutes, like a guy who'd been waiting by the phone. Their do-over began in a quiet little bistro. In a total throwback move, he ordered for both of them, and she let him. He then started telling the story of them, beginning in an art gallery 2 years before. He described the exact second his world shifted when he met the eyes of a stranger. The vibe was instant, sparking a 4-hour conversation. She asked when he finally revealed his darker side. He said it was after 3 months somewhere secure where he laid out the raw truth, fully expecting her to walk. Right at that part of the story, he reached for her hand. He told her she stayed, focusing on who he could be, not who he was. Their next stop was the church where they got married. Giovanni narrated the entire day. The flowers in her hair, the vows that made him bawl, and her promise to stick by him through anything. He swore she kept that promise, even after the hit on her life. In that church, a ghost of a feeling appeared, a physical trace left in her body. She called it an unexplainable something that wasn't a memory. This confession gave him a massive surge of hope. He started quoting the doctor's theory that emotional memory boots up before factual recall. She waved off the technical talk, just asking him to be there. In the quiet of the church, she gave up on thinking and just let herself feel. Their tour moved on to a rooftop lounge, a place from her new post-amnesia life. Giovanni led her to a specific spot, bringing up the memory of a huge thunderstorm. He described how she took photos of the lightning, calling it a war in the sky over the city. Standing right behind her, he softly recounted her first, "I love you," spoken on that exact spot while the storm raged. This story triggered a psychic shockwave, a massive explosion of déjà vu. For one perfect second, she was back there, feeling the rain and the absolute certainty of her love. The memory vanished before she could lock it down, making her cry out in frustration. But Giovanni spun this tiny flash as a huge victory. He promised to keep at it, leading her on a tour of their history for days on end. Their tour covered the botanical garden where he proposed and the shores of their honeymoon in Michigan. Every spot triggered these emotional echoes, feelings with no story. Dr. Reynolds would later confirm this was the right process, saying emotion is the main wire for memory recovery. The doctor theorized her hippocampus was toast, but her amygdala was fine, which explained why feelings came before facts. While a full memory restore wasn't guaranteed, her emotional reality was undeniable. From that clinical news, one simple choice emerged. She was going home. The decision was pure gut instinct, a certainty she couldn't explain. Giovanni had been staying somewhere else to give her room. The absolute relief in his voice when she told him was all the confirmation she needed. He offered to wait longer, but she insisted he come back to what she called our house. She said the words with a new kind of power. When her parents visited, her mom cried, watching them move in sync in the kitchen, a muscle memory her condition couldn't touch. Her dad confirmed her old happiness was making a major comeback. He saw her choosing him again as destiny fixing a mistake, not just luck. With Megan, the slow grind of rebuilding trust began. It meant watching old home videos, piecing together an unknown life with Giovanni, from parties to quiet everyday moments. The girl on the screen was happy and always touching him, her eyes full of complete trust. She was watching a forgotten version of herself who was totally content. Megan called it a feeling of being complete. Megan insisted that feeling was not only possible, it was already returning. 3 weeks blew by, they were making breakfast. During the simple routine, she mentioned loving the rain, a trait he confirmed was just part of who she is. In that quiet moment, it clicked. The files were gone, but the emotional operating system was still there. She said his name. He turned from the stove. She told him she loved him, and the confession felt totally real and in the now. She made it clear she didn't remember the first time, but this new feeling was way more important. He moved so fast he dropped a spatula, his hands shaking as he begged her to say it again. She said it again, stressing it was a new decision, not a memory playing on repeat. The kiss that followed was both a reunion and a fresh start. They would build their history from scratch, weaving in the phantom memories as they surfaced. She figured this journey was better than a simple cure. A second, deliberate choice held more weight. As rain streamed down the window, they began building a future free from a past she no longer needed. Her reality right now was more than enough. The 3 months after the big reveal were a massive overhaul of her reality. Talks with Dr. Reynolds focused on managing the memory gaps and the grief for things she couldn't remember losing. Tiny shards of her past started to appear. A smell like cedar might bring back the ghost scent of the attacker's cologne. A song could trigger the muscle memory of a dance, but with zero context. These were just emotional breadcrumbs, not real memories. Dr. Reynolds said this was the brain finding workarounds. He explained it was her brain building new highways to protect her emotional bonds. She felt like she was building on a foundation she couldn't see, a structure Dr. Reynolds confirmed was solid. She started taking pictures again, now reframed as a mission to create a new archive. So get this. Her art became a scrapbook to patch her busted memory. And the star of the show, Giovanni, the very guy who broke her. He's just eating up the attention while she swears he's her one and only. They're having these deep talks about the future, which are just reruns she can't remember. They're planning kids and trips, making the place feel like a real home. But get this, Giovanni's mob needs her skills for their legit front. Turns out her old job skills are coming back, which is super convenient for her manipulator. The real mind break happened exactly 3 months after Lauren's warning, all because the weather changed, something she was subconsciously waiting for. Picture this. They're on a terrace, a storm is rolling in, and this dude uses the drama. She says she loves storms, and he hits her with a cool "I know." And bam! He's cemented himself as the only one who truly gets her. When she finally questions him, he admits to 2 years of straight-up stalking, but calls it romantic. He spins his recent gaslighting campaign as just trying to win her over again. A total psycho rewrite of his calculated abuse. She's showing all the signs of being trauma-bonded, needing him close and saying she loves him. She's convinced herself that giving in was her own powerful choice, just to make sense of her feelings for this monster. The creep needed to hear her say it, to confirm his plan worked, and she totally caved. Then they sealed the deal right as the storm peaks. Telling her to go inside was just a little test to make sure she'd obey. But she's fighting it, trying to burn the moment into her brain. As the storm rages, she's memorizing his face, his eyes, trying to forge one real memory out of a moment built on a complete lie. While she's feeling safe in this fake bubble, the architect of her prison brings up having kids. She agrees it's something they always wanted, latching onto a new anchor that ties her directly to him. Her saying yes locks in the con. You could see the relief on his face when she agreed, proving he just values her for baby making. The sickest part? Their therapy sessions are just reinforcing his fake timeline, helping him cherry-pick memories for his story. Little flashes of memory, a wedding, some trips, start popping up like her brain is trying to reboot. Meanwhile, her career is taking off, with her art becoming proof of this carefully rebuilt fake identity. Giovanni plays the supportive partner for her art career, big time. 6 months after that night on the terrace, they decide to have a kid, a power move to build a future so she forgets the past. 3 months later, the test is positive. She whispers that she's pregnant, totally thrilled and terrified at the same time. Her manipulator just calmly tells her that's a normal reaction. This all goes down exactly 12 months after the event that both destroyed and remade her. Back in her studio, she's flipping through a photo album of a life she was told was hers. She barely recognizes anyone. Giovanni walks in and asks what's up, and she just points to her pregnant stomach. They found out it was a girl last week, and she had a real emotional reaction, but it felt disconnected, like a ghost emotion. He points to a picture from that day, testing her, asking if she remembers being that happy. She admits the day's a total blur, but she can see she looked happy in the photo. He gently corrects her, telling her she is happy, not was, locking her into the lie of an unbroken present. She's given up on ever filling the gaps. She closes the album and asks Giovanni to tell her how they met. He actually pauses and asks, "The real version or the one I made up?" Her asking for both is a total surrender, giving him complete control of her entire past. He spins this epic saga about her life, starring himself as the hero who's always been there, and right on cue, it starts to rain outside, a perfect, twisted trigger echoing the storm inside her head. As the rain falls, she's thinking about all the different people she's been. Then she thanks him, reframing his massive deception as a gift that let them have a romantic do-over, validating his entire sick game. She calls her repeated choice of him a rare and special thing, putting the final brick in the wall of her own delusion. He covers her hand on her belly, a silent move to claim ownership. He's not grateful for her love. He's grateful she obeyed. He tells her he's thankful she chose him twice, loving him without a roadmap of memories. She fires back that memories are irrelevant. She just knows his soul. The conditioning is 100% complete. With the rain as their backdrop, they plan a future, a fantasy built on a foundation of lies and shattered memories. In 6 months, their daughter will be born into a world run by her father's control and her mother's devotion. With huge chunks of her past wiped clean, she's now just focused on making new memories in the present. It's not a choice, it's a survival tactic to protect the fragile, fake world she lives in now. Her dad is crying on video calls, completely sold on the fiction. Her whole support system, including Megan and Lauren, is now unknowingly helping to maintain the carefully crafted cage she lives in.